Afternoon all. Temperature dropped today. It's a bit downcast. It was very sunny in the last few days in the mornings. Okay. Weather aside, let's go for some tactical training. I've set my preferences up for bigger board squares, bigger pieces and everything. So hopefully this is going to be a much clearer video. I'm only getting this part of the screen. Hopefully it's clear enough for you to follow and try and guess along with me what the best moves are. Okay, maybe rook f6. There's knight f6. That's no good, surely. So rook g7, queen h5. I wouldn't have thought so. Tricky. Queen h5 with the threat of rook f6. How does black defend against that? If queen moves, there's still rook f6. I think queen h5 looks pretty strong. Knight f6. There's rook f6, double check and mate. I'm going to go with queen h5. Looks like a strong move. It is the move. Okay, so there's rook f6 is double check, but then king g8. Rook h6, there's king g8, but then rook h8. So that's a mate. That looks like a mate in about 2, even if g6, queen g6. So I'm going to go for rook h6, I think. Okay, then rook h8. Okay, on a roll. 1 out of 1. So bishop e4. So if knight e4, there's f3. If I take, that's a disaster. If queen e4 though, f3 is not a problem. I can just take with the knight. Sorry, queen e4. So if rook e8 though, that's a problem for a skewer, which I don't know how to handle. So queen e4, rook e8. And this is like rook d7. No, that's queen d7. Rook f5. If rook f5, queen f5, queen e8. And if rook e4, then rook takes f7. And both black's rooks are in pre. So I think I'm going to play this with the idea of rook f5. Right. Okay, so rook f5, even if that rook, would that be good, or is there anything better? Queen f5 doesn't work. So rook f5, there's if queen g6, there's rook f8 anyway. If queen d7, then I'm stuck again. Queen d7, still on the skewer line. Interesting. So queen f5 doesn't work, rook f5 doesn't work, queen d7. And there's queen d5 there. There's queen d5 there, at least picking out a knight. If queen d5 cd, picking out a knight. So I think I'll go for rook f5. Whoops. Queen, let's follow this. So rook a8. Oh, that would have been okay for that. But in this situation, so I'll just follow this forward here. The move queen f5. I was looking at this, but I thought just takes and then taking the rook. So what happens here if takes? Ah, of course. Rook takes e8 is check. In the other position, I was tricked because remember the other rook was there. It wouldn't have been check. The check has been introduced because it was that rook moving there, not that rook. You see that? That would be check if queen f5. Ingenious. I've been tricked by the other variation. The insight of the other variation, slightly delicately different. Amazing. Okay. Keep an open mind. Open mind here. So queen b2. Can I just trap the queen? I don't know. Rook b1. The queen will go back. c3, I lose the queen. Knight c7. That looks good for knight e6. There's anything doesn't look like it's a spectacular type position. Maybe knight c3, trying to trap the queen. Stops the queen going back on the diagonal. Queen b4 though, there's rook a4. If queen b4. And then say back to b2, then there'll be the other rook to b1. So maybe knight c3 shuts the door here on the queen, which has happened to me when playing on ChessCube quite a bit. Okay, that might be the move. So rook fb1, wouldn't that just win the queen? Yep. Okay. Queen check. Right, not too many options then. Is queen f5 any good? Don't really want to play bishop f7 because like this rook maybe to h7. So I think queen f5, and if the queen moves, then maybe queen e5 if the queen's not on the diagonal. I don't know, king g4 might be actually better. Actually, king g4, there's queen c8, but then bishop e6. If king g4, that opens room for rook f7. So I think king g4, and if rook g8, well, I could just take and then rook takes f8. I think king g4 is better. Okay, so bishop e6 here to gain a tempo. And now can I just safely take that? I don't see the point of that. Oh, rook g2 is the point. Okay, okay. There's not. Are there many choices? There's king f5, or then queen f8, then king e5, then queen h8, king d5. No, I think this whole business, it doesn't matter because the queen's like attacked. So I'm going to take the rook. Okay, that was right intuitively. So there, it's not g4, it's not knight h5. So if I take, actually knight h5 is hitting the rook here. So taking a knight h5, or has knight e6 here using that pin, bishop e4, knight takes f8, check, followed by bishop takes d2. So knight e6 looks pretty good. If the rook moves off, then bishop f5. If it moves to f7, then bishop takes d2, followed by knight g5 check. And if, yeah, I think knight e6 is looking pretty strong. I'll go for knight e6. So can I not just, I'll take on f5 and then take on d2. Oh! I thought that was winning material, bishop takes and then bishop takes d2. So what happens here? Bishop takes d2 there. Why not bishop f5 first? Oh, king takes f5 and the king's munching the poor knight on e6. But this way, just bishop takes d2. Then the knight's free to take on f8. Oh, I mucked that up later. Oh dear. Yeah. Little details. So queen d6. There's no queen f7, is there? Knight b5. Rook f3, knight d6. Knight e4. Queen f4. Actually, queen f7 here. King f7. Rook f1. King g8. Rook f8. King h7. Then what? What about just rook f1 though? Because how is that knight kind of defended or f8 defended? And if queen f8, queen g7. So that looks pretty devastating just to play rook f1. I think I'm going to play rook f1. Aha. And I'll take... Okay, so this looks like queen g1 is on the cards. maybe deflection first, or queen g1 takes, king g1, rook e1, bishop moves. Then what? That rook g3 takes queen h3. This all looks pretty strong, but there's a threat of queen b8, and not mating yet on g8, but it's dangerous. Okay, let's examine this again. Queen g1 takes, king g1, rook e1. So if rook f1 there, I can't see how like knight f3 is winning as king f2. Okay. So there isn't. What about just knight g4 here? Because if check, king h7, no, queen g8, and then queen h8 will be mating. How about just knight f3? And if rook f3, queen g2, otherwise queen g1's threatened. I think knight f3, because there's no mate on g8 at the moment. I'm going to go with knight f3, interfering with g2, threatening queen g1. Ah, that was the move. Okay, if I just take. Okay. So pressure on a2 quite a lot. Knight c6 check just to win the rook. King takes, knight takes, rook takes, queen c4, because the king's not protecting the queen there. So knight c6. Unless there's anything stronger, knight c6. I'll just take, because there was queen c4 into that. Well, here the knight on a4 is loose, so just queen h4 just wins the knight on a4. Does there need to be anything spectacular? I don't think so. Just queen h4 and then queen a4. Okay. So here, rook e1's probably looking like a strong threat soon. Bishop h7, does that do anything? King takes, I can't see it does anything. Oh, rook c7 would be strong there. That would be mating on g7. And if queen h7, then queen g4 check picks up the rook on e2. Actually, that's not bad. Bishop h7. Otherwise, how is it possible to get to the black king here without bishop h7? So queen g4 and queen e2. But in that line, hang on. Bishop h7, queen h7, queen g4. There's queen g7. So if queen e2, there's queen g1. That can't be right. Bishop h7, queen h7, queen g4, queen g7. What about just taking and then king e2? Yeah. Okay, so rook c7 here. Right, so I can just take. I think that's the strongest still. Oh, then queen d3, then queen e2. There's no queen g1 there, so I'm not being tricked by other variations now. So I can take that without queen g1s. So if I just take and then queen d3. So king takes. There's no f1 here though, because knight takes f1. In fact, I don't know, queen d3 might allow rook e4. So taking with the king might actually be best. If queen h5, king f2, if f1, knight f1. I'll just take with the king here. Okay. Okay. So, I don't know, knight e5. If rook e2, rook d1. King f2, knight g4. Was there anything just simpler here? There's no queen g2, there's no queen f1. Knight e5 looks like an attacking move to get to the first rank. Knight e5. If queen e5. Queen e5, rook e... No, queen e5 just seems to refute it. What about just rook f8? If rook e2, rook f1, rook f8 actually threatens mating on f1. That must be the move. If bishop b7, maybe king b8. I can't see how f1's defended. So rook f1, rook f8. Aha. What about just rook takes f3 here? There's queen f3. But then queen e1 check if queen f3. Not queen takes, then rook e8 mate. So rook f3. There's queen h8 though. But then there's knight f8. And if queen f8, rook f8, rook e2, rook f1 still. So I think I'll play rook f3. Unless there's anything stronger. So knight f8. If rook f8, then hang on. If rook f8, then queen f8 and rook e2. So it's got to be knight f8 to preserve the rook. So preserving the rook. Okay. So it's going to be queen g8, king f5, queen h5. Or is it just the king move? King g4, there's queen g1. King f4, there's queen e5. It can't be a king move. Bishop e4 or h5 though. If bishop h5, king g5, I can't see any other checks apart from queen g8. What about bishop e4 first? Just to stop the king coming that way. King g5. Say queen g8, king f6. Then what? Okay. So it's either bishop e4, bishop h5 maybe, or queen g8. Queen g8, king f5, bishop g4, king e4. Unless actually king h4, because there's there's queen h2. Okay, so queen g8, king f5. What about just queen h7 there? And if, no, I don't know actually. Queen g8, king f5, queen h7, king e5, queen e4, king d6. From d6, no, queen e7. Isn't that mate there? Queen e7. I was like starting to be playing like blindfold chess. Takes on h7, king g5, queen h4, king f5, queen e4. It's taking on f6 all the time. So queen g8, king g5, king f5, queen h7, king g5. There's queen h4 probably, and then bishop e4. And if queen g8, king f5, queen h7, king e5, there's queen e4, king d6, queen e7. So it must be queen g8. So queen h7. Alright, so not that other line. So there's just queen h4 to protect f6 and bishop e4 here. Alright, so we're going into this other line now. Queen e4. Or is it just queen f4 and then bishop e4? Queen f4 forces king g6, protecting f6. Bishop e4. Queen h5. Queen g4. King h6. That must be mating. So this is even quicker. Queen f4 looks pretty quick. Bishop e4 is king e5. Queen e4 loses f6. So I think I'm going to play queen f4. So bishop e4 here. I think it's mating. So queen h4 mate. Okay. 1960. Queen e2 here doesn't look too good. Knight e2. Queen f3 doesn't look good. Queen g3 doesn't look good. Rook f2. There's no bishop g3, so king f2, rook f8. King g2. Then what? Queen g3. King g3, bishop e5. That can't be the case. Can it? Actually, this queen on a4 is a bit loose. but the knight's protecting it. Rook f2 looks dismantling. Let's look at this again. King f2, rook e2, forcing the knight away to e2. So can that win the queen? Or queen f3 check? Queen f3 check. Ah, queen f3 check. King moves, knight takes e2, and then mating on g3. So double rook sack. Rook f2. Then now rook takes e2. Queen f3. Knight e2. Queen g3. Queen h3. Pretty cool. So 1963, this might be my peak rating. So bishop a7, there's rook c3, queen b8, king d7, queen b5, knight takes queen. So queen c6, queen c7, say. Is this tricky, or is it my imagination? Oh. What about just bishop d6? Check. Knight c3. Queen b8, king d7, queen c7, and then mating on e7. So it's just winning the queen with bishop d6. For queen b8 to be strong. So bishop d6, knight c3, queen b8 looks to be winning. Play bishop d6. So queen b8, queen c7, queen e7. Alright, so what's going on here? So rook g5, king g5. There's no f4, there's no bishop h6. So what about bishop f3? There's rook f2, king h3, rook h2 mating, white. Bishop g6 forces king g4, but there's no f3. So rook h4, king g5, bishop e7, there's f6, and then what? So that king h3, and then if rook f2, again there's no bishop g6, takes, no, rook h4, king g5, there will be bishop e7 there. That looks like it could be the right kind of trick. Let's have a look at this again. Rook h4, king g5, bishop e7. The problem is with bishop e7 there's f6 and there's no f4 here. If king h3, then there's rook f2 taking away f4. Right, what about, I don't know. No, I'm running out of ideas now. Bishop takes c2. King, what about just checking and bishop takes c2? Because white would be a piece up. Couldn't that just happen? Rook h4 check, king g5, and then just taking on c2, piece up. No, it's not a piece up. Alright, rook h4, king g5. There's bishop h6 there. So king moves, bishop takes d2. There has to be a mating net. It's like close to getting a mating net here. Spending ages now on this one. With the mating net, but it stops with rook f2. There can't be one slow move here. So bishop g6, king g4, we can rule that out because there's no f3. So I think I'm going to begin with rook h4. Okay, that was the first move. So either bishop e7 or bishop h6. There's no f4. Maybe there's king h3. If rook f2, that introduces the door for rook g4. So bishop e7, f6, rook g4. There's bishop h6. Oh, pardon me. King f6. I could just take on c2 here, or bishop h6 and taking on c2. Nope. Oh, this is too much. Bishop e7, f6. There's something really clever here. Bishop h6 would be useful without f6. There's no rook g4, king g4, bishop f3. Rook h5, king h5, king h3, rook f2, g4, king g5. There's no, again, bishop. Is bishop e7 useful at all here? f6? Then what? No idea. So bishop h6 doesn't look too hot. King h3 is another possibility. I'm tempted to just finally move now. This is 4 minutes in. This is going to be a long video. This is when I can do longer videos. What on earth? Is this dead easy? Can you all see the solution here from this position? Bishop e7, f6. What am I missing here? There's no f4s. Bishop h6, there's king f6. Is that a big deal to take on d2? King h3. So say rook f2. There's nothing spectacular there, is there? Bishop f6. Oh, I give up. I'm just going to take this. Okay, what's happened here? Check. And what's the move I've been missing here all the time? King h3? But the rook g4 is not threatening mate now because the bishop's not on h6. So what's the move here? Oh, it doesn't matter about the king going to h6 here because bishop f8. Check, and then forcing eventually bishop f8. Well, congratulations if you got that. I really couldn't see that. Congratulations to you following the video so far, and if you saw that. A bit too much intricacy of combination. Okay, rook d4, queen h8, king f7 doesn't seem to do much. Queen h6, king f7. No, rook d4 and queen a7. Trying to win material. Queen. Oh, this is another one which I'm going to have difficulty with. Takes on d4. I mean, there's even rook e1 to factor in. There's a check on h5 which might be useful. It's a queen h8, king f7, queen h5. So queen h8, king f7, queen h5, king f8. What's the big deal? What about just b4's not, can't be. So queen h4, actually say king f7, queen g6, just to be able to play rook d4 and rook and queen f6. So I'm going to go for this. I'm going to put pressure on f6 with this move. Oh, that is right. Then there's queen g6 to keep pressure on f6 and get the king away. Or is there anything just obvious here? I can't see anything else particularly, apart from the idea of queen g6. Alright, so there's rook d4. Oh, winning the rook on d4. So queen f6 and queen d4. Okay. So, knight e7, rook e7, rook f8 is double check and mate. And if queen c3 does rook f8 and rook g8 is mating. So knight e7 looks pretty strong. Knight e7. Knight e7. Oh, ow! It was actually rook f7. So how does knight e7 fall? So the solution was actually rook f7, and if takes, then there's check. What? And then just winning the queen. Blimey! So what I played knight e7. Seems to be working in some lines. Queen c3, rook f8 was like mating. Rook e7, rook takes f8 was like double checkmate. So what was wrong with knight e7? Knight e7, what's the refutation here? Knight e7, queen c3, rook f8 is mating. Maybe it's just ignored with queen d7. After queen d7, there's rook f8. Maybe queen d8. Just queen d8. Okay, so rook f7 is much stronger. Okay, so rook f7. So whatever way, if it takes, take the queen. Blimey. Okay. Congratulations to those that got that. So bishop h3, king d6. There's rook d7 there. So bishop h3 actually looks very strong. Unless there's anything strong, because winning this rook on d1. I think I'll play bishop h3 and rook d7. I'll take the rook. So queen f2, king g4, queen f3. What about just queen g1 here? King h4. g5 is not working. Rook f4. Rook f4. That's not particularly. Is that actually useful to play queen g1? So it forces king h4. But then what? That's queen e1, rook e1. Nope. Rook f3. Queen h4. There's queen f2. I'll play queen f2 now. King g4, rook f4, rook f4, queen g2, king h4. Mysterious. So let's go back to this again. Queen g1, king h4. I think I'm going to make this the next one the last problem, actually. This is hard work. Queen f3, king h4. What would be the win there? Is it easy, this kind of problem? Should it be easy? Rook f3, king g4, queen g2, king h4. There's queen g3 there, so the rook is actually useful for g3 control in that line. And if king h4 after rook, there's queen h4. So I'm going to go for rook f3. It seems handy. Rook f3. Aha. So queen f2, king h1. Can't give black time for rook e8. So here maybe rook f2, king g3, queen g2, king. If queen f2, that's not useful, is it? Because king h1 with no progress. So doesn't it have to be rook f2 if queen f2 is definitely not useful? Which it doesn't appear to be. So I think I'm going to have to go for rook f2 here. Okay. So it's either maybe queen g1, queen g2, or rook g2. If rook g2, king h4, there's queen f2 there. So intricately vacating f2. Okay, I hope you guys were doing well. My blitz rating has gone up staggeringly to 1961. Let's see the stats for today. 79%. That's my highest percentage so far. Half an hour today. 79%. 15 out of 19. So there's some steady progress here. So maybe you guys can improve tactically as well. Just go to ChessTempo and check out your progress on the stats with the calendar. Comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks so much.